Live on the interwebs. FightShow 7. What's up, Bubba?
How you doing, brother?
Just trying to take it all in, man. FightShow 7, guys, live. Thanks for joining if you're tuned in with us. Don't forget to drop into the comments. Fully interactive. What do you have to say? Presented by Pull No Punches Apparel, 717 Surplus. And tonight, 2 weeks in a row, we got guests. We're fucking ramping up. We can't even keep up with them. But this guy's been doing it since 2019 in the state of Pennsylvania, and I can attest to the fact that he's been doing it right. Cares for his fighters, cares for his brand, and he is everywhere. Ryan Middleton, 247 Fighting Championships out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Stand up. How you doing, sir?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
How you doing, man? Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Real quick, you got a couple people in the stream. If you guys, I don't know who's there. I know a lot of people said they were showing up today. So if you guys are in there, drop a comment in the stream. We'll throw it up on the screen. If you got a comment for me, Bill, Ryan, MMA comment, depending on what we're talking about, just drop in the stream. It's fully interactive, guys. But anyways, Ryan, you've been doing this in the state of Pennsylvania since 2019, but you had to start somewhere. So just like tell everybody, give them your story, be as brief or as detailed as you want to be. We're here for you, bud.
Yeah, man. Thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, we got this thing rolling in 2019 with 247. But really, I'm a lifelong MMA fan, right? And I just absolutely obsessed over MMA. I actually thought I was an MMA fan. I come to find out I was a UFC fan, right? Because now that's the audience I'm trying to reach. I'm trying to find the guys that think they are MMA fans and get them into what the real scene's like, and get them out to our shows. So lifelong MMA fan, starting with UFC 1 when I was in high school, and none of my friends were really like into it, but I couldn't get enough. And then, kind of disappeared for a little while. And then, it was hard to find, other than like truck stop DVDs and stuff like that, CDs or cassettes and whatnot. But, once the Ultimate Fighter came out and it kind of blew up and got regulated and all that stuff. So I've been watching for a long time, loving it. And just in my own career, I'd done a lot, and I'd gotten into a position where I was just like, I need to spend time in my life with something that I have a passion for and enjoy. And so it was actually UFC 203 we drove to in Cleveland. Jim Mooney, who's my matchmaker now, Dan Altieri, and myself, three friends, went up to Cleveland for UFC weekend, UFC 203. There was Stipe and Alistair Overeem. We had an awesome time, but we checked into our hotel on Thursday. We went up for the weigh-ins and for the press conference and all that stuff. Made a long weekend out of it. We get to our hotel, and we happen to be in the same hotel as the UFC, just by chance. We had no idea. And we spent the weekend hanging out with fighters and the staff of the UFC, Bruce Buffer and all those guys, Forrest Griffin. We were literally hanging out with them for 4 days, just having fun, chilling. And we were driving home from that weekend on Sunday. And I said, I started talking. I'm like, I got to do something with this. I got to, this is what I love. This is where my passion lies. I got to do something. So, all three of us said, yeah, we're going to do this. And then the next couple of weeks, we started a website. It was called Octagon 24/7. It was octagon247.com. And we started a podcast called MMA Fancast. And we were just having fun. It was just, So then we started looking for local events to cover. Well, we started covering UFC, but that was when when podcasts are trying to do that in websites, like everyone's covering the UFC, you're just another person. So we were looking for like content that was different, that might have a smaller audience, but a people we could reach. So we started looking for shows. We went to a Ohio show, and then there was a Pinnacle show here in Pittsburgh. And so after that, we started getting traction. We started like covering Bellator events, getting credentialed for them, and start just having a blast doing it. Literally just doing it to have fun and be productive and like do something that's work like with something we actually liked.
Yeah, just participate in the space no matter what, how
Absolutely.
you were in it or how it took you.
So we're having fun, and like at first the goal was like, dude, maybe sometime we could get credentialed and like sit front row and like get like for free, and then those things started happening. We're just having fun, loving it. But then it came time, like we were like, why are there no local fights here in Pittsburgh? And so I reached out to a local, like the Pinnacle promoter, Matt Layshock, and I convinced him, like we worked together to have another show. I kind of helped out. And then the plan originally was to keep doing it, but like it didn't really work out that way. So we went our separate ways after a show. And then that summer of 2018 is when my wife and I decided, like, yeah, let's do this. So I made a bunch of investments, cage, trailer, lighting, all that good stuff. What's up, Jared, Billy? He's the man. Got a bunch of invested a bunch of money. I don't know how I convinced my wife to do it, honestly. Like that was one of the things that I did. I just was throwing it out there, seeing if any, hey, well, like I think we're ready to do this. And she was like,
you dipped your toe in the deep end and then fell headfirst into it. You got bit by the bug, and that was all she fucking wrote after that. That's pretty much.
Convincing my wife to allow that was the key, and it happened, and I'm forever and grateful for her.
Well, I'll tell you what, most people don't know what goes into promoting a show, let alone building a brand like Dana White did. That's astronomical amount of work. People think this stuff just happens. Was there anything that surprised you from the beginning, or just didn't go quite the way that you thought it would? Any hiccup or anything
Everything
that just surprised you?
We had this thing called COVID. That was
what's it called?
The day.
What is this concept you speak of? I'm unfamiliar with it.
If I was depending on 247 for like my livelihood or any type of revenue, like we would have been out of business. Because we had a show scheduled on March 14th, the day that they shut everything down. Okay. That was the Saturday that, so that Saturday morning, we, Greg Serb, called me and he says, the governor called, we can't have the show, like it's off. I mean,
yeah,
it was the most difficult, probably the second most difficult day of my life.
That's absolutely brutal. You put all that work for not, people, like I said, people don't know it's not 20 hours of work. It's not 40 hours of work. Matching all the fights, getting everybody to do what they got to do, securing the venue, promoting the show. We're talking, you're probably putting 40, 60 hours a week into that.
Yeah. And it was only our fourth show. The financial aspect was completely I mean, all the fighters are in hotels and it was just brutal. Absolutely brutal. So yeah, we would have, as a matter of fact, like it's the truth when it comes down to it. That night.
Hold on real quick. This one's for you, Ryan.
Yeah.
Guy, this comment up here at the bottom's for you, bud.
Oh, nice. That's your first live event. That's awesome. Welcome. That's it's awesome to hear. Hopefully we'll will live up to your expectations.
I think
That's
from
an
what I've seen
interesting.
thus far, it'll be a good experience for you for your first show, Dwayne.
I like that spelling of Dwayne. That's definitely that's it right there, man. That's how it should be.
Dwayne, when you get to the show, track this man down and introduce yourself as Dwayne with a W, and he'll know exactly who you are.
Yeah,
Exactly.
grab a picture, man.
Make sure you get a picture with the big guy. No, I mean, I can. We've said it before, and we've had when we had Nick on, who's been in the game down in Texas for 23 years. Like I've had many hats. Take one hat off, put another hat on, and much like you, like my amateur career exploded out of the gate with injuries. It was non-existent, and all the time training, all the time around the sport, I just wanted to stay in it. Dwayne said he can't wait. So expect a selfie with Dwayne at the next show. But no, so I dipped my toe in it, and I can tell you that I never had to experience COVID. I couldn't imagine for top to bottom the sport itself what it did. And but I know our last show we did in New York was canceled day of because of just fuckery that could have been avoided, and it wasn't. And it's nothing that you control, and it's promoting because. I mean, Bill, you've seen enough shows come together. Like our time in Virginia, we ran that show pretty smooth down there. And a lot of the headaches that I saw in other places and other promotions I participated with, it's the left hook coming when you go right. You know what I'm saying? It's the one that you don't see coming is what really kicks you in your ass. And it's the pivot game. This I guarantee you, not even knowing much about Ryan, but his pivot game, I guarantee you is on point.
I promise you, the day of the fight, you got to be thinking on the fly. You know, it's the day of the fight is going to throw so many hiccups your way, so many headaches. You know, and you got to be a problem solver. This is and you know what? You have our commission at the time. You know, like I said, we got a good guy in there now who probably look at you and say, "Okay, how can we figure this out?" Where before we had a commission that was like, "Hey, you figure it out. Let me know what you come up with." You know, and you got to be hitting and moving. So. Ryan,
that's
I'm just curious.
Our show in New York. Well, I mean, our show in New York, same thing. We ran into a cage problem with part of our cage. We had a guy that had the backup 30-footer from the UFC that literally. So you go from this crash, trying to get the cage together day before you go to this crash, and then the guy pulls one out of his ass. Hey, we got the 30-foot spare UFC cage. So they bring the truck up, they pull it out of the truck. It's still got the UFC 200 sticker pads and shit on it. So everybody that's around you're fuck yeah, this is awesome. We got and then next thing you know, we had clearance issues with the ceiling. The size didn't fit. The vent, so you're just from Monday of fight week until I've said it before about you and Nick and the experiences it's a dip in my toe dip in the shallow end compared to what some of these other guys have done. And Ryan's got the stay power and he's been doing it right for a number of years now. So just shout out to him on that.
Hey Ryan, I'm curious. What's a fight that you've done? I don't want to say that you're most proud of. What's one of your favorite fights from your promotion that you thought it was going to be a banger, you put it together, and it delivered?
Oh, that one's quick. Well, so every once in a while you have a fight that you're like, this is either going to be the best fight ever, or it's going to be boring. There's no in between. And it was a super banger. It was Ken Burrs and James Lato, two amateur, one's a current D1 wrestler for Pitt. And the other was a D3 wrestler at Waynesburg. Okay. And those two, my goodness, it's beautiful. They were both it was a novice Sammy fight. And those two, it was awesome. It was that fight that okay, let's see what happens. I know it's going to be one of these two, and it was a complete banger. So yeah, if you're on so we have our own streaming platform. It's called 247 Live. You can download the app on your Roku, on your Apple TV. We're coming to, other formats as well. So it's like a Netflix for our company, right? And so if you were a subscriber to that, check that fight out. It's classic.
Oh, I guarantee you they probably show that to all their family members and friends anytime they come over.
That was amazing.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Garrett hit a little bit how you got started. I'm just curious. What's the long-term vision? Where do you plan on going with this whole thing? I mean, if you could have it your way.
Yeah, I mean, so I think we have some immediate plans that are pretty long-term plans. We're currently working through the details of a long-term lease on a venue of our own.
Okay.
So that's pretty much a game changer for us. We're gonna have the ability to have all kind of events, as well as, so we'll have our own event center, have MMA, have grappling, have other promotions come in, boxing and things like that. And
You can
so
do fan expos. You can do
we could do
the amount
conferences.
of stuff you can do with it.
There are so many things we can do. We're super stoked. It's been a long process. We've been working on this deal since February. It's been like excruciating. But I'm hoping we have the terms, the meat of it agreed to. Now we got to get the details ironed out. And if that happens, if and when that happens, it's game on. It's game changer. It's a totally different game we're working with. So the opportunities once that comes are crazy, like crazy. Like we'll have enough fight opportunities for every fighter in this area who even thinks about fighting. Like you'll have opportunities. Right now, we can't get fights for everyone that wants one. But when and if that happens, then that's a complete game changer. But ultimately, here's the thing. It's really hard to make a buck in this business. I mean, it's really hard. Like I said, if I was depending on making money, we'd be out of business. This started out as a hobby, as a side thing, and I now, the company makes enough money that I can have some staff. So having our GM Hunter Homestek, who is, I mean, I would never tell him this to his face. He's probably listening right now, and that's like the last thing I ever want him to hear. But like, he's been a huge hire, great addition to the team. And then I said earlier, Jim Mooney. Jim Mooney's our matchmaker. He's been with us since day one. He came on full time May 1st of this year. So those guys do so much work. People see the glitz and glamour, right? And people think that that's what it's all about. But they don't see the grind that goes along with it. They don't see. We just had our last show, not this past weekend, but the weekend before that, on the 21st. The 21st. And we had I had a kid with me that my son goes to high school with, who he trains at one of the gyms that's on our shows all the time, and that's what he wants to do now. And he helped us on the Sunday after the show. He saw what it really is all about. He's helping us unload a truck with cage and like lifting these cage parts, and we were sweating, and it's 45 degrees outside, and we're pouring. It's a grind.
There's another one for you, Ryan, down here at the bottom.
Yeah. Jared, how cool is it with Hunter? Yeah, working with Hunter is awesome. He's an awesome guy. The biggest thing about Hunter is, like, if you've ever met Hunter, you walk away from your conversation or your interaction with him and you go like, dude, him and I are like, we're good friends. Like, I mean, that's who he is. Like, you feel like that, man, me and that guy really connected, but that's how he is with everyone. He's like that guy. So super David Krause. I know David Krause, but I don't know.
That's not your. I know the David Krause you thinking it's a different Krause. He's referred to. I hit him. He was. He's actually a fan of ours on Facebook. He come in. Thanks, Dave, for stopping in. I alerted him to the bare knuckle, the Game Bred bare knuckle card that's coming up tomorrow, which we're gonna cover in a little bit. Dave, we'll get back to that. But yes, that's gonna be an awesome card. Thank you for stopping in. No, I I had a good point, and then that whole David Krause from Facebook just threw me off. I was gonna say something. Go ahead, carry on with what you were saying. Hunter, great working with Hunter. Unloading the trucks. Yeah, no, it's organized chaos. It's organized chaos is the best way. The best laid plans. You can have a tight game plan and a good crew of people to help, and it's still just fuckery. Depending on where you're at in the week, is the level of fuckery gradually increases. And like I said, I haven't done it on your scale. One thing I did want to say before David fucked me up. You as a promoter who is excelling in the regional scene, looking at the bigger landscape of things, are you someone that wants to see yourself as, clearly everybody wants to stand alone and make their own name for their promotion, but it's like 2023. Are you looking at the possibility of like a Fight Pass deal? You know, you're going to be able to produce that much content with your, and increase your show, not only capacity, but your frequency of your product. That's frankly a good, your production value is great. Your product's good. I'm sure you're doing stuff better now than you did when you first started. And I'm sure a year from now, some of the stuff that you say, oh, well, I could have done, it'll be, fixed or it'll mature and evolve with your show. But do you think that's an option for 247?
Yeah. I mean, it would have to make sense for us. I don't know that you're ever, some of the promotions that are on Fight Pass, I don't know what their deals are like. I know what kind of revenue we generate from 1 year of having our own platform. As a matter of fact, we just did some numbers today to see where we're at with that. So it would have to make sense because, ultimately, like, we're building up the scene here in Pittsburgh. There aren't like 20 ticket selling pros to choose from, right? One of the things that, like Fight Pass, they don't put on amateur fights. So you got to have 5-6 pro fights on a card. That's got to make sense to us. The money's got to make sense. And so, I wouldn't say that's a goal of ours, but if it made sense sometime in the future, see, the funny thing is, like, everyone looks at Fight Pass. From a promoter's standpoint, I don't like Dana White and Sean Shelby aren't sitting around watching Fight Pass on Friday night and Saturday night. Like, that's just not the reality of it. Like, but for fighters, they think that that's like here's a good illustration. Name some big name Fight Pass fighters currently
that are fighting on Fight Pass right now.
Yeah.
Anybody...
I'm out of the game for a little bit, but I couldn't name you until they have some.
You guys are some of the biggest guys that are into regional MMA, and you can't do it. Here's
the deal with that, though. At this point, there's so much content. Even today, just with you had the BKFC, because I for one am not going to be a person. First of all, I spend a lot of time in these toxic rooms because you pick the people out of here that want to hear decent conversation, and those are the people I want to talk to. And it's all fuckery and it's all games, but you find decent people in those rooms. Just like that guy David Krause earlier. People with the casual and the toxicity. I'm a firm believer, if you call yourself a fan, you should be, if you call yourself an MMA fan, like you said about a UFC fan, if you call yourself an MMA fan, then you can't. I had a guy the other day was talking shit on Paul Felder and couldn't even name, well, where'd Felder fight regionally? Because I've been watching that guy fight for a minute. He's not doing nothing. He's a former CFFC champ, and those of us that have been watching him come up through the ranks, I'm not as up to date on MMA currently with everything I got going on. I literally pick and choose right now. If it pops out and interests me, I'm at the stage now where I appreciate the fuck out of the regional scene, promoters like you.
That's absolutely.
There's so much to digest, though. Like I said, BKFC, the Game Bread press conference was today. It's fight week in the UFC. There's just so much that you have to niche down. You can't really focus on a lot of stuff.
The point I was trying to make is, like, for a fighter, they think that, like, it's a it's like this huge opportunity. And all I'm saying is like, it feels good for them, but ultimately, is it like this whole nother level of exposure? It's not, because I mean, ultimately, to get into the UFC, or to get into a like Bellator or ONE FC or one of the big major international promotions, like, you don't need that. What you need is, once you're like an established pro, you need to get a good management team. And then that's how you find the opportunities. Yes, once you're an established pro, getting onto UFC Fight Pass cards might be like,
I'm with the feeling of this, I guess, to kind of sum it up, and I think we're kind of saying the same thing here. Fight Pass from a fan perspective, absolutely a great product. Fight Fast from a promoter's perspective, depending on the numbers and where you're at and your market and how you're doing, and if the numbers make sense, could be very lucrative. Somebody who's a forward thinker, such as yourself, who has the app, who has this, you have options. We just saw a friend of the show, Dave Feldman, this week signed, was apparently, we haven't heard anything yet, but Fox Sports and DAZN. That's great for the sport of BKFC and for what he's trying to do and for what he's grown. It's all about personal preference and options and what makes sense for your brand. So I'm under no illusion saying that Fight Pass is the best thing. No, fan wise, yes. Promotion wise, fighters, it's not. It's the ability for your
fighters
friends back
like
home. It's showcase. It's fighting on TV. It's cool. It's not just to be able to sit there and for the normal casual person to say, oh, that guy went to high school with me and he's fighting on TV. It's just that product.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, as if you are a regional fight, you're on the regional level, I think you're best off building your fan base as big as you can get it, and make a large, like, because that matters to the UFC, that matters to everyone. How you move the needle matters in MMA,
of course.
And it's not just on the regional level. It's the UFC cares about that stuff too.
Oh, and the people should know that. I mean, Conor McGregor laid out the blueprint on that. He generated a mass following. The people who don't even want to follow the sport knew who he was and wanted to watch him fight. So that's why he's able to throw a dolly through a bus. It's not a big deal. He's just fighting next month on pay-per-view, because they're not going to give that payday up. The UFC knows what they're doing with that stuff. So,
sure.
Is that? I'm curious. Is there any? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people, just thinking about having their first mixed martial arts fight. Is there any advice? I'm not talking the training. I'm talking in dealing with the promoters. Is there something that you wish younger fighters earlier on in their career kind of handled a little bit better, or is there any advice you would give to them in dealing with promoters? Because like you said, there's only so many slots to fight. How are you picking these guys? They're coaches. Do they want to go to a gym that has a long-standing rep with you? What are some of the pointers you would give younger fighters?
Yeah, just staying on top of like what you need to do to
okay, yeah, no, that's fair. That's
like your paperwork.
Yeah,
staying on top of your medicals, like chasing people down like the day before the fight, trying to
correct.
Get their physical or blood work in is aggravating. It's very stressful, and it makes the organization, regardless of who it is, it makes the organization think twice that you put that kind of stress on them, they're going to lose their co-main event or whatever it is. You put that stress on them, they're like thinking twice the next time they're booking a fight. Are they going to offer that to you, or are they going to like look the other way?
I did kind of forget about that since my days of refereeing. The guys who would wait to the last minute to get these damn medicals in, and you knew they had to be in a month and a half ago. And if you were serious about fighting, they would have been in a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
And we said that last week when we were talking to Riley. Best advice I can give anybody and I gave it to the kid last week. Act like even if you're an amateur, you handle your amateur career as an amateur career. That's where you make your mistakes, you learn, you grow. But regardless, as far as business goes, and you conducting yourself as a businessman who a promoter or brand wants to partner with to showcase both of your brands, You need to act like a consummate professional from day one. That means if the shit's due on the 15th, have it to them by the fucking 13th. Show you're an adult. Show you can show up on time. Show you can show up 15 minutes early. Show that I, as a promoter, drove 5 hours to Albany, and my first stop was my co-main, picking up our 145 champ's brother who got into a co-main spot, and I had to go physically take him to go get his medicals.
Yeah.
So when I tell you, like, I understand I feel his pain right now. And again, my stuff was a toe dip compared to where he's at. But just that fuckery is not, I don't want to deal with this guy no more. But he puts asses in seats. We've built a cart around him, and I'll try and help the kid through whatever he can work through. But if you're, I'll help you and I'll give you the shirt off my back. But if you're not willing to go that extra mile, why the fuck should I even worry about you anymore?
Regional MMA is no different than the UFC. If you sell tickets, you get away with a little bit more. Like, I mean, Conor McGregor puts asses in seats, so he gets away with more. Same thing with the regional scene. If you're a ticket seller, you can get away with more. Not that you should. But when it all comes down to it, like if you're selling, half of our tickets yourself, then you kind of have some flexibility.
There's some truth to the term Dana White privilege. You know what I'm saying? It's not a race thing. It's at the end of the day, and I want to shout this out while we're live and we got viewers and everything else. Like, as somebody who's followed it for a while, like, there's promoters, and Bill, we know who these people are. They go into a town, they have a cage, they pop up, they get a couple of the local fighters, they put a card together, and they move the fuck on. This is a hometown guy, a PA guy, who's trying to grow the sport in his backyard, and who, when I say that part of the reason that his fighters have some of the brands that the guys that have been with him, I think it's because of the man sitting here with us today. Not saying anything bad about them or how they build their brand or how they carry themselves, but I think a big portion of that, and I hope these guys know that, because there's snakes in this fucking game. And a lot of these guys get into these regional pockets and they don't see that. So the fact that we got a good one in PA, I'm proud to say that, because we're all things PA MMA here. So,
well, there's a difference too, I think, between like being a promoter and putting on shows, right? So anyone can throw up a cage and have people that agree to fight, but when you come to our event, you're seeing a show. You're seeing the lights, you're seeing the production, you're seeing we have the best DJ in the game, like game changer. I always thought like, we're never going to have a good DJ. Boom. DJ Cake comes along and just crushes it. She's like the best DJ ever. Anyway, so hate to brag about her.
No, shout her out. Fuck it. That's shout her out. If people are doing good shit, I want them to know about it.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, there's a difference between what people think about when they think of a regional show or regional MMA and like what we do. Like, we say to people like, oh, come out and see us. We're like a little mini UFC, right? Because we look at what they do and we try to do that on a much lower budget, right? And that's ultimately like what people appreciate about us is, wow, like I didn't think that this was going to look like this. This is awesome. And that's the usual reaction. And as a matter of fact, our lowest ticket prices are $50. And when we went to that, nobody complained that went to shows. The only people we ever heard complain about our prices are people that don't want to buy tickets. Like the people that decided to buy and go don't complain about the price because they see what we do for what they get in return. But ultimately, like it's, people see the glitz and glamour, but it's a lot of hard work to make all those things happen.
Well, I'll tell you,
I'd like cogs in a wheel.
No, I'd like to know what, however many shows you do a year now versus if you potentially sign this next venue, what would your ideal amount of shows be for your area that wouldn't oversaturate your area? Sorry.
Yeah. See the difference.
6, 8.
Yeah. The difference would be, we wouldn't be looking for every show to be the size of the shows we have now. We would be looking for more shows, smaller shows, because the venue is ultimately going to have about like 800 maybe seats that have viewing of the direct viewing of the cage, whereas right now we're selling, more than that, significantly more than that in a lot of instances. So we're probably looking at a show a month once we're in there.
Oh, okay. 12 shows a year.
Yeah, so some shows will be like 7 fights, 8 fights. Some shows will be like 10 fights, but I think we have the infrastructure now with the gyms here, that the gyms and the people that want fights is much higher than it used to be when we started this thing. And as a matter of fact, like when we started, there, there are haters. Like when we started up, there were people that were trying to sabotage us. And it's funny now, but then it was like the most stressful thing when someone is trying to destroy something that you're trying to build. And ultimately, what we were trying to build wasn't just 247, but it was Pittsburgh mixed martial arts. And because it wasn't where it could have been and where I thought the potential was. And so when someone's trying to tear that down from the inside out, like that's not, it's really difficult and stressful. And we had my first matchmaker was Jim. Jim originally started on he oversaw like the operations of, setting up and tearing down and the fight night oversight. And then he became the matchmaker. My first matchmaker and I, who I'm really good friends with to this day, but we had some like almost needing therapy stress, some depression. Like I honestly, like I'd never felt depression before. Like it was bad.
How much weight have you dropped since you started being a fight promoter?
I've gone up and down. I actually, I've fluctuated a lot.
It's a mix of the gas station venue food compared to the stress. It kind of counterbalances each other a little bit.
Yeah. So I've teetered between 200 and 259, in that 60-pound range. But I'm right in the middle right now. So yeah, that's my fluctuating weight.
Between blood pressure and weight, there's a lot of things to worry about outside of the fight game when you're doing this. I did want to comment though to what you said. Like you're talking about scaling, taking what the UFC does, scaling down. If you look at what he's talking about, Bill, and the model he's talking about, it's the reason why we have scaled up. It's the reason why we have banger fight cards. And that goes into my next question. Are you pulling a lot from like the Ohio Valley out that way? Is there a lot of Ohio guys coming in to come in there to compete with you in Pitt? Or is it more so just like that, western swath of the state over there? Is it pretty full?
Yeah, we're pulling from pretty much all over. What happens in general is we start working with, like we might find a pro to fight Ethan Goss, or a pro that fought Kama Worthy, or, a pro that fights Justin Patton, and we'll start to work with them. They'll come out to the show. They'll see how it is to work with us. And most of them like it. Like some people blame us if like there's a decision they don't like or something like that. But
yeah.
Overall, like then we'll start working with that gym and like try to,
build relationships, nurture relationships. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
And ultimately, like we don't live in an area where there's, like out in Philly, you got like in a small compact area, you have a lot of like it supports like three or four promotions out there. Like we don't have that here. Like we're and plus the fighters, never leave it to the judges. That is the best advice you can. We just had
Brett.
We had a grappling show. We started in doing grappling. We had a grappling show, and there was a decision that like wasn't liked by the judges And it was turned into a little bit of chaos. That you expected an MMA show. Grappling, I thought would be fine.
Are we talking the fight? I was watching some of your content the other week, and somebody mentioned a fight, and you have shitty security. And is that the same one?
Yeah, it was that same. Okay,
incident. Same incident. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I wasn't sure if that was the same show or core. I remember it was a couple months ago. It was a while back.
It was it was October.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it was this last month then. Yeah, no, I just remember taking some content in the background, listening to your guys' stuff while I was working on something. And I'm like, because when I met Bill officially, like we had came across paths when he fought as a fan, but I met him officially and he was reffing for the state of Virginia, and I was running the floor at the largest pro promotion down there. So security stories. We could probably do a whole hour of episode just swapping stupid security stories.
Yeah, well, I mean, we had like 18 shows, 19 shows without any major problem. And then last like 2, we've had an issue here and there. So we're learning. Like we held everything in check for a long time, and then all of a sudden there's some issues. So we're addressing them. We're figuring.
But these are the things. Look, these have to happen, because if they don't happen, you never learn from them.
Yeah.
Like,
hey, I just real quick, I want to point out the irony in Brent's comment. The guy who said never leave it to the judges. He has refereed multiple UFC and Bellator events. So fighters, if you're out there listening, don't leave the fight to him. He was just trying to get a good seat. So if the decision goes against you, don't blame it on him.
He was probably after last week. I'm not sure. I'm not convinced he wasn't staring at your ass a couple times either. So
we're not even going back to that.
Yeah, we're not.
But I wouldn't blame him if he did.
Somehow Bill had drinks during the show, and now his ass is sponsoring an amateur fighter. It's a long, complicated story. It's all Brent's fault.
I do like the you know what, when I first started, I did a lot of events in the Philadelphia area, and I was doing CFFC a lot, and they were on Fight Pass. They have since expanded that Fury Pro Grappling. So I was actually could you give me a little bit of a vision that you have with your grappling? Where do you want to go with that? It's interesting that you even said that, because a lot of promoters, fans like to participate. A lot of people like to get into training. What's your vision with the grappling? Is that going to be on Friday nights, Saturday afternoons, Sunday afternoons, like before the MMA event? Like, what do you guys
stacked it the last one, right? You guys did grappling on Friday and the show Saturday, right?
Yeah, we have our first 2 have been Friday, Saturday double headers, MMA on Saturday, and so is the next one. But as far as that goes, if we get our own, if and when we get our own venue, then we'll be able to do those on Saturday nights. I think those are best on Saturday nights. I think we can do a lot of different things. I mean, our grappling series is just starting. We've had some big names on our cards, including Gray Maynard from the MMA sphere. But from the grappling, we had the number 2 pound for pound grappler in the world now. Dante Leone was on a card of ours, our first grappling card. And then we had Nicky Rod on the last one. And so we've been able to attract some big names and some big talent. And Dante Leone said we're talking afterwards, and he's like, you're already this is your first show. Like, the way it looks, the way you have it set up, the way organization, all those things, you're already a top grappling organization.
Is that something you intend to stream?
We do stream it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yep. Guess you better invest in that 247 app there, Bill.
What's that? Okay. And the participation level and people that want to compete is what you thought it would be?
It's exceeded that.
Okay.
Where we're at right now is our production is very high, like cost wise. Mm-hmm. So, and we've attracted some major talent that's obviously costs money. So our first 2 grappling shows were in the break even range, even though it looked like a nice big crowd. It was they're expensive shows. So, for having first 2 events, that's kind of where you want to be. You want to be able to break even, build an audience, and build that. We do a lot of marketing. We do a lot of gathering data when people buy tickets and being able to promote to them, be able to let them know about future events and opportunities. So we have a lot to build on. With that being said, we have plans for. We aren't stopping there. If we have this new venue, that opens the door for a lot of different things, and like there's a lot of names of people that would like to compete in some form of combat sports here in Pittsburgh or Western Pennsylvania or Pennsylvania at large, and we have an audience for them too. So there's some things that we could be doing if we have our own venue. So we're super stoked. Hopefully that works out.
Well,
I'm just curious, since we're talking about the PA commission and stuff like that. Any interest in boxing or anything like that? Or are you just strictly sticking with mixed martial arts?
Boxing's such a different sport. I mean, it really not just the sport itself. I grew up a boxing fan. Like before UFC, like I was into boxing, like Holyfield, Tyson, like Sugar Ray. Like I was a big boxing fan as a kid.
Well, you guys had Paul Spadafora up your way, right? Wasn't he a big time boxer way back when?
Yeah, he was. I was already kind of not into boxing much at that point, and not like more into the like national scene. But I knew it was Paul Spadafora. We dipped our toe into like the boxing sphere, and it ended up like we're friends with all the promoters here and boxers and all that stuff. What it comes down to is like my passion for boxing is not what it needs to be successful at it. So
okay.
No, what I was gonna say for you asked him is literally, and I said this before, and I can't echo it enough. Like the reason we bring people here is because we want to talk to them because they're doing good things in the space and they're gonna help grow the sport. Like as an unbiased PA or not, like this guy could be in Utah, looking at his promotion as from a fan's perspective and from me and you that know a little bit more than the average fan. Like he's doing it right. He's a forward thinker. He's incorporating a multitude of different things to make sure his product looks and performs, and he's just getting it out there to the masses. He doesn't have issues with delivery. So like when he's telling me this, I as a fan am genuinely excited. You know what I'm saying? Like just to be able to just to see what he's got coming up next out there, because literally it's been nonstop. And then even the stupidest little things happen and you hear about him on a national level. You want to tell the cup story? We had a cup story the other week. That was kind of interesting.
So our main event, Ethan Goss has been with us since the first show. He's our featherweight champion. He's on a nice run now, and he's won 6 in a row. He just won this past weekend or this past show. But he's on a 6-fight tear. He's beat a bunch of really good guys. So we're hoping to move him on. We're hoping to graduate him to the UFC. So, but ultimately he was kneed in the balls and at this last show, and he got kneed so hard. Like I've seen him get hit in the balls before, and dude, you could tell that this was really bad because he went down I give him a hard time every chance I get. He went down like a little baby crying like he was going to suck on his pacifier. So Ethan Goss, that was, yes. But we have a good relationship where we just harass each other all the time. But he got hit so hard that his cup actually broke. And he posted it on Facebook like the day or two after, and the company saw it and let him know that they were sending him out a new one and all. Yeah, Diamond.
It was Diamond MMA. Yeah, shout out. They've long-standing reputation for being the best cups in the game, and they stand by their shit. So I saw that, and this is where I'm at, Bill. Like I'm friends with Ryan personally on Facebook. I follow the 24/7 page. I'm friends with Ethan. Like we have a lot of mutual, and I see this come from like way out of left field somebody reposted a repost, like it got back to me, and I'm like, man, that's when I was like, yeah, he's definitely doing something, because it picked up. It was important enough to get into the news cycle some one way or another. You know, you could see stuff being friends with somebody, but to have it come organically like that was like, okay.
So,
And
Brian, want to ask a question? No, I'm just talking younger fighters that you got out there that think they might want to try this. Are there a couple gyms from out your area you could shout out that are, let's just say, enjoyable to work with? Give people give the younger fighters the right guidance.
So one of the things that's unique about Pittsburgh and the gyms here is a lot of the gyms, they cross train a lot.
that's awesome.
So and it's like, you know, if you're competing, it's kind of expected that you're going to go to the other gyms. Not expected. I'll take that back a little bit, but there are most of the guys work with the other gyms, go to the open mats, do all that stuff. Like, so that's one of the unique things. But yeah, if you are in the Western Pennsylvania area, and actually we have a blog on our site. It's under the news section, and we did an article, like 6 gyms in the Pittsburgh. If you're looking to, you know, here's the gyms and we kind of did an analysis of each of those gyms. It was a while ago. It was a couple of years ago.
Well, just to show everybody like the layout of your site. This is their site, all their information. If you guys want to have any more, if you're out in the Pittsburgh area, if Yins, I think it's how you guys do it out there, right? If Yins,
we're a bunch of
out
Yinsers.
In the Pittsburgh, bunch of Yinsers out there in the Pittsburgh area. If you guys want more information about 24/7, 24, I've always inclined to say that 247fighting.com. I think it's because every time I turn around, they're doing something, so they're 24/7. Mm-hmm. So, shout out to them.
And our original, like the Octagon 24/7, like the 247 was a combination of Octagon 24/7, which was that original website. And the second part of that is my faith background. And 2 Timothy 4:7 says, I have fought the good fight. I've finished the race. I've kept the faith. And when we combine those two, like wanting something from the faith and something from, you know, Octagon 247, you know, at a Bible study, going through 2 Timothy and seeing that verse, it all clicked. So that's where 247, and that's why it's actually pronounced 247.
All right, is there how can people catch your next show? When and where is it?
We have another double header, December 15th and 16th at the Monroeville Convention Center. We actually just got a deal together with Eventbrite to be our new ticketing site. So tickets will be on sale very soon. I probably shouldn't say this. Hunter's going to be mad.
He'll get over it.
But I think they're actually on the site now. But like, if you just scroll down on that front page, I think it's right below there. I mean, I don't think we've
announced pissing your team off. We could piss your team off right here on live.
I don't think we've announced it yet. I think we were going to. If you go back, just go to the homepage.
Yeah, they probably like you for the most part. They'll forgive you. They'll love you again in the morning.
They don't like me. No. They'd say, okay, yes. Now scroll down just a little bit. Yep, there it is.
Oh, there we go. For everybody to see, I'll do it. You don't need to see our ugly mugs quick.
Yeah, that literally just went up a little bit ago, but we didn't even want to, like, we want to, and now we have a big fight to announce to start the fight announcements, and we didn't do that yet. So I think that was.
So I guess we'll take that off and save you some.
And Ryan, are you guys on Twitter, Facebook? What do you guys got? Put
we're on 247 Fighting Championships on Facebook, on Instagram. Those are the two main ones. I think Hunter does do some Twitter stuff, but the two main ones are, the Facebook page and the Instagram page.
All right.
And of course, 247fighting.com.
And stream 247live.com.
stream247live.com. And if we don't end up doing that soon, Bill, we might have to take a trip out to Pittsburgh and see this man and shake his hand in person.
Yeah, you guys, there's going to be, if you want them, come on out December 16th. You'll have some cage side seats waiting for you.
I might take you up on that.
So it might be worth the trip.
I mean, anything. Look, I don't get to Pittsburgh near enough as I should. I claim all this PA, but you guys on the other side of that mountain range are all kind of in your own little pocket there.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm not just talking about like the first row. I'm talking about, you at the cage.
Oh, Bill, you're going to get to sit on Brent Coleflesh's lap again because he's probably going to be there. Brent did chime in earlier just to give you an idea. He said, Brent did say you were at Greg's. I guess, Greg, was at your last event maybe? Or you were at Greg's last event? Said he spoke with you. That's who he is. That's not him, but clearly.
Yeah. No, there was a boxing show down in Delaware. I got to say hi to Greg and stuff. So.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
Yep.
I thought he was talking to Ryan. I wasn't sure.
No, I got you.
We are going to, I guess, I got a couple notes here. I mean, we'd be remiss, not to disrespect anything this man's done or anything we talked to, but for those of people that don't know who the hell Ryan Middleton and 247 is, and they're here for the UFC news. No, I'd like to just, I mean, we ended up with a banger of a card this week, I think. Kind of top to bottom, it stacks up all right. If you go the other way, it's not so much. But starting at, like, up at the top, what do you think for this week, Bill? I think we're going to go here to the thing here because we're actually running at an hour now. Check out this card quick. Ryan,
all right, I will give you my I'll give you my quick picks. Ryan, are you cool to hang around for a couple of minutes?
Absolutely. You my time is yours.
Okay, here we go. Yuri
go ahead and say your piece, and then I'll say mine, and we'll just keep going down like we normally do.
All right, Prohaska versus Pereira. If it weren't for a Glover Teixeira blunder going for a guillotine, Glover Teixeira finished Yuri Prohaska on the feet. He just didn't continue to strike. He went for a guillotine and screwed himself. I got Alex Pereira winning that. If you're getting finished by Glover Teixeira on the feet, Pereira's going to get you.
Here's how I look at when this is the difference with me for Pereira. Pereira, like, his size in 205 is not the biggest, and he doesn't have the same advantages maybe that he had at 185. I don't think his power is particularly as effective. His striking is special enough and it's different that maybe he can overcome it with that, but it's kind of like he had advantages at 85 that he lost at 205. So I'm anxious to see like kind of where he's at with it. I think leg kicks from Pereira make a difference for Yuri's movement if he could shut the movement down. It took Izzy 4 times to figure Pereira out. I mean, that's really kind of where I'm at with Alex Pereira as far. I think you're going to see some more out of him, and I mean, not to take anything away from Yuri.
Well, I do like Prohaska, but a lot of his wins are against the fading Dominic Reyes. I did see a highlight of a guy that he knocked out. I'm not even sure his name. He did beat Glover Teixeira, who's 45 years old. Pereira is a two-time Glory kickboxing champion. Was that it?
I think
2 weight classes.
The difference might be the fact that you see training video from everybody, and the only video you see coming out of Yuri's camp is him standing in the woods with a fucking eye patch on, swinging a sword with a 300-year-old copy of Sun Tzu's Art of War, and he's just on one foot, and there's incense burning in the background, and that's all you get out of Yuri. So I don't know, but judging by past performance, like I said, this stacking up wise fireworks. Well, I think this card, for what we ended up with, where I'm not complaining. Pavlovich versus Aspinall.
I have Aspinall in that one. If he decides to stand and play Rock'em Sock'em Robots like Curtis Blades did, it could be a short night for him. He should implement his grappling immediately. Alistair Overeem took Sergey Pavlovich down and finished him on the ground. I think Aspinall is much, much more talented. Sergey gets kind of wild and just really, really aggressive with stuff. But that fight will probably be over in, I don't know, I'm guessing the first round. But if I were Aspinall, I wouldn't do what Curtis Blades did and wait till you're hurt to shoot some desperation takedown that you're not going to get. If he wants to stand in the center and prove he can trade with Sergey Pavlovich, he could get beat. But if he fights his game plan, I think Aspinall takes that one.
Real quick, Ryan, jumping back, Yuri, Alex, where are you at on this?
So remember how I said that
Like, I used to watch every UFC fight. Like, I gotta be
Yeah.
honest, I'm nowhere near, like, my knowledge has been shot. So
All right, well, then
I
you
still
just sit
watch
there
it
and look
from time to
pretty.
time, but I don't. I am not educated enough on this.
Well, and this is where I'm at. I'm covering this as the stuff because we cover this. I definitely want to show out to the regional scene as much as possible, but for people to actually listen and want to do anything, it's 75, 85, 95% of the people out there aren't paying attention to anything. So I don't even watch this as much as I should to be able to do content on it. And we bounce around a lot, but hey, if you have
Yeah.
anything to add, your mic's hot, feel free to interject. I'm saying that, first of all, Brits in short situations have done good. Shout out to Michael Bisping on that. I'm pulling for Aspinall on this. I think he did part of this camp with Rico Verhoeven, which says something. Striking was already crisp.
Hey, Aspinall, I think
Pavlich is a
Aspinall-
great counter striker, but at the end of the day, he's a bomb thrower. So if somebody like Derek Lewis stands in front of him, he's going to catch him. But I don't think that. I don't know. I'm pulling for Aspinall on this. I don't see the numbers. I know they were pretty tight earlier. I can also say, go ahead.
No, if there's a guy to beat John Jones, it's Tom Aspinall. I'm not saying he would. I'm saying if there is a guy, he's got the most skills and the best chance at it.
Crazy fact, I put this together just to listen to the numbers. It's easy. I don't have it on the screen, but Aspinall, 16 fights, 16 finishes, 13 first round. Pavlovich, 19 fights, 16 finishes. 16 of those coming in the very first round. 35 fights combined, a 91% finish rate, and a 83% first round finish rate. I'd say the safe bet, if the numbers are right, is go to under 2.5, but I don't have the numbers on it. Jessica Andrade, Mackenzie Dern. I'm a huge Mackenzie Dern fan. I've been following her since before she even entered the sport of MMA, so I'm always pulling for Mackenzie Dern.
Jessica Andrade is fighting for a paycheck these days. She hasn't looked good in a while. She's going to get in there.
Well,
and take
Mackenzie Dern paid for her entire divorce, apparently, according to what's going around the media circle. So
Jessica Andrade, if the fight doesn't go her way immediately, she's probably going to pack it in. I mean, she's going to get in there and swing, but she hasn't looked good since she dumped Rose Namajunas on her head or something like that. Yeah, that was like probably the last time. The UFC wants Mackenzie Dern to win this fight.
I'm not up on the strawweight division, the women's strawweight, as much as I should be, but even those numbers are kind of, I don't know, 5. This is probably my pick. Honestly, I'm excited for the main and the co-main.
That could go either way.
This
could go either way.
Matt Frivola fight, I think, is going to be a banger.
It's going to be short-lived, probably. I think Saint Denis is going to try and take him down. I do. Frivola, I've been wrong on him the past 2. He knocked out, I think his name was Abu Azatar, and he knocked out Drew Dober. I was wrong on both of those. So Matt Frivola is a steamroller.
He knocked out Ottman Azatar.
Okay. The Paddy Pimblett fight should have been his, but we talked about that on the show. That the Paddy Pimblett fight should have been Matt Frivola's.
Yeah,
but I don't think they wanted Matt Frivola to wreck Paddy Pimblett. So
where do we go? Oh, we're back in. Hold on, give me 1 sec. Technical.
Now Saint Denis is a boss, though, man. That guy's good.
I mean, at this point, nobody's a slouch, but
yeah.
I don't know what's going on here.
I'm talking future contender good.
Oh yeah. Where are we at? Pat Sabatini. Shout out to Pat and Eric Purcell out there. Some Eastern PA action, them Philly guys.
This is a coin. This is a coin flip. I'll tell you what, and I'm gonna shoot it honest, as honest as can be. I love Pat Sabatini. He's fought on a card with me back at Combat in the Cage in Newark, Delaware, years ago. He was 16 years old and had to get a waiver to sign. We fought on the same night. He had a loss against a guy named Damon Jackson, who is nowhere near the fighter that Diego Lopez is standing up. If Pat can get that to the ground and control top position, I don't see Diego Lopez just like throwing up a triangle and submitting Pat. If Pat can't get that fight to the ground, Diego Lopez is a pretty vicious striker. Pat Sabatini is a big sambo guy, top control, top pressure. So that basically, can Pat get him down? Does Diego let him get him down, or does the fight stay standing? To me, that's a coin flip fight, and the odds are right on that. Plus 100.
You're now, if you didn't realize this or not, you're 2 for 2 on Philly fights last the Pfeiffer and the Petrosky. You're 2-0 rather. So you're 2-0, undefeated. Hopefully for Pat Sabatini's sake, you keep your O. The O don't go. And then we get down to the prelims, which are, like I said, top to bottom. It looks real good. Lupi Gananez, she's got 2 ranked people there.
Yep.
And then it's kind of Jared Gordon on the early prelims. Shout out to Jared Gordon.
Jared should control that fight pretty easy. He's not just going to
Yeah.
Mark Madsen's the Olympic wrestler guy. He's not just going to go in there and take Jared Gordon down, and Jared's not just going to accept that position, And Jared's much, much better on the feet than Mark Madsen. And Mark Madsen's damn near 41 years old, I believe. So that should be a winnable fight for Jared Gordon.
Well,
Man, you guys are pretty sharp.
Leo's stopping through. What's up, Leo? Thanks for stopping in, buddy. We appreciate you, man. Jared, definitely, we're a fan favorite here. We like the New York, Jersey MMA guys. We like Pittsburgh guys too. You guys are part of PA. We love you guys. Other than that, Jim Miller is fighting at 300. That's his last. He's done. Jim Miller. Good. Fun fact: Jim Miller's fought at 100, UFC 100, UFC 200, and if he fights at 300, he'll have fought at 300. So the end of an era for that one.
What a legacy, man! That's good.
He's an awesome guy. I've met Jim and Hunter is actually going fishing and hunting with Jim Miller. So,
what a legacy to leave, and the fans love that
infamous
guy.
We might have to have Hunter on now. He's almost infamous. Like, dude, I have so many questions.
Do you know Hunter? Are you familiar with him?
Has he been on the show with you before on any of your? He's on with you guys.
He hosts it, but he's a media guy. Like he used to work for Flow Combat, and he worked for Bleacher Report, and he worked for So he's a he's a journalist, and covered MMA nationally and stuff like that. And then
well, I'd be anxious to pick his brain if you can get us linked up. I know Brent called me and Bill Media the other day, and I've done promoting, I've done managing, I've helped with matchmaking, I've put a cage together, I've ran secure. Like, the only thing I haven't done is judge and ref, and that's why Bill's here. But like, now apparently we're MMA media, so certain people can't talk to us. So
well, that's the only reason you would have seats at cage side is because you're media. So I think you're gonna have to. I think you're gonna have to claim that.
I can embrace the title.
Yeah,
I've been called far worse by far better people, and you know what? If I'm MMA media and Ali Abdul Fizzle Terrorizzle don't like me and don't want, and then I've accomplished something, so fuck him. I don't like that guy either, and I don't care, media or not. Ban me from your shit.
Ryan,
it's been great to have you.
The people that don't like me, they're the ones I want to hang around with the most. It does something for me.
Just to piss them off.
Fuck yeah.
We'll jump into this. Anything you got? Anything you want to promote? Anything you want to plug? Anybody you want to shout out? I mean,
I just want to shout out to our sponsors. Our sponsors are the backbone of this organization. And so Sunny Days In-Home Care has been with us since day one. They continue to pour into Pittsburgh MMA. Sunny Days In-Home Care takes care of their clients better than anyone on the face of the planet. Go Green Windows and Construction, Russ Green, he literally supports us as well as lots of the fighters that are on our shows. So huge sponsor, not only on the promotional level, but also on the fighter level. And the rehab center is owned by Isaac. One of the owners is Isaac Greeley, who is one of the gym owners out here as well of the Mat Factory. And they have also been supporting us for a long time. Guys, if you're, anyone who's like thinks they want to get into the MMA business, if you do not have solid sponsors behind you, like you're dead in the water. Or you're running shows that like you have to like beg, borrow, and steal from just to like figure out a way to make some money. Those guys that pour into us and we pour into them, we promote them every chance we get, and they work well with us because we love them and they love us, and it's just a great combination. So thanks to all of our sponsors and those three in particular.
All right, man.
Shout out to the sponsors of 247 Fighting Championships out in Pittsburgh. We appreciate you guys giving into the sport so he can produce what he produces, and it's a great product, and we are proud to call you from Pennsylvania. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you guys so much for having us lonely folk out here in Pittsburgh on. Some Yinzers on.
Yins are all right. Yins are all right in our book. It's all right. I mean, you guys are like secluded in your own little Pittsburghs. I love you guys, and I've never shout out Brandon Watkins. I don't even know if he's still around on Facebook, but that dude was like my first Pittsburgh guy that I really interacted with out there. Y'all are like a cult out there, but and I just it is what it is.
I mean, it's Steeler Nation, bro. What do you mean out there?
While we're live on the interwebs, real quick, and I want to hear your story, but we need to get, and we talked about this off air, but I'm putting it out in the world now. What's up, Philly? Pittsburgh versus Philly. Y'all can meet in the middle. Battle of Gettysburg, 2024. Best of Philly, best of Pitt, West versus East, whatever you want to call it. What's up?
Mike Bickings, the ball is in your court, Mr. Bickings. I don't know if
Bill?
he can handle it.
It would be a fun show, and there would definitely be some bragging rights. It would be an honor if somebody got invited to come do this. It's like, hey, you're one of the best we can find in the area, amateur or pro, whatever you guys wanted to put together. That'd be a pretty cool bragging right to have to go home to your house.
Like, can you imagine? You've seen the scene outside of like Philly football game. First of all, can we talk about people saying the MMA fan base is toxic? Anybody besides a Philly sports fan, if you show up in Philly, that is the most toxic environment you could be in. So, but I love it is what it is. I love it. Like, what's up, Philly? Send your best. Ryan will get the best. East versus West, Philly versus Pittsburgh. Settle it in the middle.
That'd be some fun bragging rights to have. Yeah.
I don't know that it's necessary. We said this off air. I don't know that it's necessarily the middle, but it's. Center City, Philly,
South Philly, like 3 hour, kind of sort of in the middle. I mean, give or take a little bit. Nobody wants to host a thing 30 minutes that way in Chambersburg. Nobody wants to do that. Battle of Gettysburg is what's going to sell, bud.
I think State College would be like the ultimate, right?
That's like a cult too.
That's fair. No, that's fair. That's
but I can dig it.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, if we were going to meet in the middle, I think that's pretty darn close to the middle. I mean, it's probably a little bit closer to us.
Winners get a Yingling belt, old beer caps. We'll just make it out of
your local MMA media BMF guy. Belt. Yeah, your local MMA media guy.
Shout out to Bud Light. It was Bud Light 2 weeks ago. No, again, man, we appreciate you. We're glad you're always welcome here. Anytime you want to come on, any fighters, any guys you want to stay on, send them our way. Like I said, we don't put them on unless we want to talk to them. We think it's going to be an interesting conversation. And again, I can't say it enough. From an outside perspective, I can appreciate what you've built and what you're trying to do and your vision and the forward thinking that you and your team have. And the quality's great. The production's great from everything I've seen, and anything that might need fixed now, I guarantee you in 2 to 3 years, it'll be surely buttoned up. So Ryan Middleton, 247 Fighting Championships.com. You can reach him there on social.
247 Fighting.
247fighting.com. At least I didn't call it 24/7 this time.
Yeah. Wow. It's still the same.
We appreciate you coming in. Stay blessed, and you know how to get a hold of me, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Ryan. Guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Ryan. All right, Bill, do you have something to bitch about this week?
Oh, hell yeah.
You've got something to bitch about every week.
Oh my God. And when I bring it up, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah. So without further ado, we'll do a little bit of housekeeping here, but Pull No Punches Apparel, proud partner. We're proud to partner with them in Fight Show for the entire month of November. 10 months, $10. Jesus Christ, $10. I'm screwing these reads up. Entire month of November, Pull No Punches Apparel, proud partner of Fight Show. For every tank, tee, or hoodie with their "You Have a Chance" and a Choice t-shirt, tank, or hoodie, will go to Movember in support of men's mental health awareness. Proud to have them partner with us. They're always trying to give back. And without further ado, they are proud to present Bill Bookwalter's Ref Rant, the weekly look into what has pissed Bill off in the MMA world this week. And without further ado, Bill Bookwalter.
All right, I'll be short about it, and I'm going to take you guys back to this past weekend to Jailton Almeida versus Derek Lewis. All right, yeah, exactly. The sport is always advancing. We're always coming forward. I understand in the past it's never been a popular decision to stand a fighter up from the ground, especially from mount. Jelton Almeida didn't even try. I mean, he took him down and literally he did not try and punch. He did not try and submit. And he could have. He chose not to. It wasn't that he was scared Derek Lewis was going to get back up. I don't even think Derek Lewis knows an escape from the ground. I mean, I saw Sergey Spivak just work Derek Lewis, take him down, punch him up, punch him up. If you are on a main event, and I guarantee you Dana White feels a certain kind of way about this too. If you're in a main event at a UFC event in Sao Paulo, Brazil, where this basically kind of all started, that's where the roots of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and MMA and to get in there, be able to take a guy down at will, advance position, be able to hit him at your will, do anything you want, and you just sit there and let that last for 5 freaking minutes, 5 freaking rounds. Unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. Young fighters, you know what? Whatever your game plan is, whatever you're going to do, or experienced pros, work it. In the past, it has never been a popular decision to stand people up if somebody's full mounted. If there was ever one that called for it, that was the one. I have no idea what he was thinking or what the game plan was or anything, but the sport has come too far, especially to have a main event with a guy that experienced with that much of an advantage. Derek Lewis doesn't know what he's doing on the ground. I mean, that guy's ready to pack it in. You know, if he would have just advanced position and started beating on him a little bit, Derek would have given him a rear naked choke. He would have, you know, the ref would have stopped the fight, anything. This sport has come too far, and we've gone through too much stuff to watch a main event like that. So that's my referent for today. And maybe, I don't know, maybe here in the future, we start standing people up if that's the case. If they're in the most dominant position they can be, and they're just truly not working and ignoring the ref, just stand them up. It might not be popular at the moment, but I would have liked to have seen that, you know? I don't know what your thoughts are on that fight, but man, that was terrible to watch.
I mean, if you're going to look at all angles, Derek took it on 3 weeks. It's no excuse. You're a consummate professional. Derek took it on 3 weeks. I think this is more had a little bit more of
this is more about Almeida.
Paycheck for Derek.
This is more about
Don't
Almeida.
Look at the ref. Real quick, I said we'd get to it. I don't know if he's still in the show. If he is, he isn't. If he is, he is. If he isn't, he isn't. But this, I'm trying to make sure that we kind of shout out to everybody doing something different. Everybody.
Alan Belcher's a monster, dude.
Alan, and it's Alan. I mean, you could say I want to shout out because Jorge Masvidal and Dean Toole. Shout out to Dean Toole. Used to have Violent Fights. Doing this card in Biloxi this weekend, but bare knuckle MMA is going to be a banger. There's 12 UFC vets on this card.
Bare knuckle MMA. Okay.
Bare knuckle. This is Jorge Masvidal's bare knuckle MMA.
Okay.
Game bred bare knuckle MMA. Biloxi, Mississippi. Tomorrow, streamed live and free on their YouTube.
Wow.
So make sure.
All right.
Get on there. Game bred. Just get on game. It's easy enough to find on YouTube. I found it earlier in like 3 minutes. But yeah, there's 12 UFC vets on this card. Just at top of my head, Belcher, Nelson, Knight, I think Costa, Lombard. Like it's.
Yeah, I see Chase Sherman.
Man.
Yeah,
Chase Sherman.
I refereed Semama Tuavafa or whatever. He was fighting somebody down 2,300. I refereed him before. All right, yeah, that's cool, man. I'll tune in for that.
David Krause, actually, that's how I linked up with him on Facebook. He had questions about it, so I said we'd cover it. But yeah.
All right, good shit.
Somebody's in. Leo's still here. Hey, Leo, appreciate you stopping in, bro. Leo's been a strong supporter on Facebook, so always appreciate it. And a fellow PA dude. He's not. He's up by Allentown, not far from you, Bill.
All right, well, Leonardo, tune in tomorrow night for this, man. You'll get to watch it. I've never watched a bare knuckle MMA event before either.
It's crazy. I've watched it. It's different. It's different. And I like what Jorge's doing, aside from it being Jorge. Like I said, Dean Toole, Island Fights always used to be entertaining. Dean Toole's doing their matchmaking, president of the promotion. You know, it's game bred, it's Jorge. I really like what they're doing. So Fight Show 7, guys, we appreciate everybody that came and stuck with us. And
I knew that. Dude, that's too predictable, Brent. You're better than that. You're better than that. Too predictable. I knew Brent was going to chime in with something like that.
Yeah, that's Brent. Hey, appreciate you, Leo. Thanks, bud. Yeah, so we're going to jump off here. We ran over an hour tonight, but it was a good conversation. Ryan Middleton, 247 Fighting Championships out of Pittsburgh. Yeah, no, It's weird with Pittsburgh, man. Like me personally am 3 hours from Philly, probably like 2.5 hours from Philly Center City, and like 3 hours from Pittsburgh. But if you gave me 10 times out of 10 to pick where to go, and I'm not a big fan of Philly. Like there's something magical about driving through South Philly and going to the 2300 to watch shows. But or even into Jersey, we're not far from Jersey. It's just over the river. But Pittsburgh's like its own animal, man, and I think it's always been that way. It's just kind of.
Yeah, I remember some of the old school
thing.
guys from up there. I don't know if you remember, like Mark Cherico and some of them other guys were up there. This is what Rich Canalina. This was way back in the day. I'm talking like back in 2014.
But see, even that, it was kind of, them guys were kind of segregated over there. They didn't really like, you had like your central PA guys, and then you had like your Philly Jersey guys, which it's hard, Philly Jersey, New York, like it's hard to, it's just like they all intermingle over there. It's weird.
Yeah. But, all right, brother.
All right, man. We're going to get off here, guys. We got a couple of post-production things scheduling. We got some exciting guests coming up. We thank you for tuning in to Fight Show Episode 7. We are live Thursdays every week live and interactive every week at 7 on Facebook. Appreciate everybody that stopped in and dropped comments. Appreciate our guest, Ryan Middleton, and we're working on some decent guests for you guys to come through. It's always going to be entertaining, and it's always going to be the best hang in MMA. So thank you guys, and we appreciate you. And we're out.